Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
Could you describe a Raven Rock to me, like what it is, what it's for?
No.
Raven Rock, like Area 51, remains one of the U.S. government's most classified installations. It's all part of a plan that was hatched 70 years ago.
In the 1950s, the government came up with plans for a deep underground command center where the president and, a few hundred staff members not only could take shelter, but also could direct a nuclear war.
The plan is called Continuity of Government, or COG.
At any moment, we could see thousands of members of the government completely wiped out. But there's a secondary government, a shadow government that is ready to take over at a moment's notice.
Raven Rock is an underground backup Pentagon.
It's the most unbelievable place you can imagine. You're 768 feet below the surface.
Don Camel spent 3.5 years at Raven Rock as part of the president's communication team. He's never spoken on camera before about his time working in the secret bunker.
Just one of hundreds, if not thousands, of these secret underground military bases. You know there's tons of them.
With 175 stores, Whole Foods is the undisputed leader in organic foods and promotes locally grown. But the I-Team has found that much of Whole Foods organics are imported from China.
Honestly, I would have never flipped it over to see that it was a product of China.
Spinach, sugar snap peas, and would you believe California blend vegetables? All listed under the Whole Foods brand 365 Organic. And on the back in small print, product of China. Organic ensures pesticide-free, environmentally friendly conditions. But how do we even know the food is organic? Food sold in this country must be approved by the U.S. Department of Agriculture before they can display the organic label.
The oversight that they have in China is not the same kind of supervision that we have in the United States.
But the USDA doesn't inspect imported foods. It certifies private inspectors to do the job. Whole Foods employs a company called Quality Assurance International. But the company confirms QAI has not certified any products in China. They rely on another certifier on the farm.
That footage looks a little old, but still, check your produce. I mean, if it's coming from China and they're not regulating it, you should know. Another thing that worries me is that if it's fresh produce and it made it here from China, how fresh is it? And what are they putting on it to make it stay fresh?
It's been 50 years since we've seen a new cemetery pop up in the U.S. Sounds bizarre, right? But what if I told you the truth is even stranger? Let's dive into some spine-tingling theories. Ever heard of Soylent Green? That old movie where people are turned into food? Some say it's not just sci-fi anymore, and no new cemeteries, so where are all the bodies going? One theory suggests they're being repurposed. Yeah, you heard that right. Into what, you ask? Food, materials, you name it. Sound far-fetched? Maybe. But consider this. Why haven't we seen any new burial grounds? Another theory points a finger at secret underground facilities. Hidden from public view, these places allegedly store the remains in ways we can't even imagine. Think Area 51, but for the deceased. Creepy, right? And then there's the theory that's truly out there. What if the government has found a way to make bodies disappear? Advanced tech, alien help, who knows? But if true, it raises some pretty disturbing questions. So what do you think? Are these just wild theories, or is there something more sinister at play? Next time you pass by an old cemetery, remember this video. Because the truth might be buried deeper than we think.
I had never considered that. Now, I know because of the price of funerals and caskets and all that, which is absolutely insane, a lot of people are electing for cremation. That takes up a lot less space. But I grew up a stone's throw away from a cemetery, and it's constantly having funerals, yet it hasn't expanded as long as I can remember.
Researchers have proposed that plasma entities observed in the thermosphere constitute an extraterrestrial form of life completely different from life as we know it. The complex structures exhibit thermodynamic and evolutionary features thought to be peculiar only to living matter, and may exhibit all the necessary properties to qualify them as candidates for inorganic living matter. Kilometer in size and behaving similar to multicellular organisms have been filmed on 10 separate NASA space. These self-illuminated plasmas are attracted to and may feed on electromagnetic radiation. They have been filmed flying towards and descending from the thermosphere into thunderstorms, congregating by the hundreds and interacting with satellites, generating electromagnetic activity, as well as approaching space shuttles. They travel at different velocities from different directions and change their angle of trajectory, making 45-degree, 90-degree, and 180-degree shifts that follow each other. They've been filmed accelerating, deaccelerating, stopping, congregating, and engaging in hunter-predatory behavior. Researchers propose that the plasmas may have been photographed in the 1940s by World War II pilots, repeatedly observed throughout the years, and may represent a non-biological form of pre-life.
So there's this theory that plasma is alive. Not only that, but it might be extraterrestrial. How freaking wild is that? Hey, thanks so much for stopping by today. Nice shirt. If you're having a good time, won't you hit that like button for me? Consider subscribing. And then come back tomorrow, because I'm making a new episode every day. Looking good. Looking good.
Rife Machine Mechanics
is soundless sound healing, because it works primarily on resonance.
Not sure what that means, resonance. Is it like a vibration?
And it goes through all the harmonics of it. So resonance is like when you play a guitar, you hit a guitar string, and then there's a guitar across the room, and the guitar wiggles when you play the same notes. And it's transferred through the air. They don't exactly know how, but they know that air is required. Like molecules in the space of the air is required to carry this, and it's like a string connecting them. One of them vibrates, but doesn't make a sound. It just vibrates in like solidarity. That's resonance. They're using that technology, but taking it up a notch, and it's healing. We don't fully understand it, but we know that it works. And basically what we have inside of this one are like special vacuum pulsars, very expensive amplifier that creates resonance without sound somehow, because it's a very sensitive one. And it's not like based off of how our ears perceive it to our brain. It's more direct. It's on a cellular level. It's on a 0-point system. It's quantum, so it doesn't have positive or negative charges. None of it does. It's just generating energy. It's beyond that.
So this Rife machine, our friend Shayna Page has one, and it reminds me of when I had a lumbar fusion. It was like 8.5 years ago. They gave me this weird, like huge device to wear on my back for 30 minutes a day. I didn't feel anything. I didn't hear anything. I just pushed the button, turned it on, and did it. And it made my back better. So in retrospect, it's nice to see that this is actually being used in practical applications by doctors.
SCP-3812 is a reality-altering entity that was once a human named Sam Howell. It exhibits signs of an extremely advanced form of schizophrenia, including paranoia, dysphoria, extreme mood swings, and various hallucinations. Its appearance and locations vary significantly, making it difficult to track. Currently, it's located in the South Pacific Ocean. SCP-3812's anomalous abilities make it difficult to contain, as it will alter reality to remove any containment measures or move itself to another location. It also resists containment attempts subconsciously and cannot be tranquilized or amnestized. The Foundation has established a quarantine area around SCP-3812 and is constantly monitoring it with the Mobile Task Force. Research is ongoing to understand the full extent of SCP-3812's anomalous capabilities and to establish a more comprehensive containment procedure. Information security teams are also monitoring all forms of digital media to prevent widespread awareness of SCP-3812.
Well, it looks like they missed one. And if today's episode makes it all the way, they missed two. That sounds like absolute nightmare fuel. It can't be contained, and it can just move itself wherever it wants. Yeah, that's scary.
Ever heard of the New World Order conspiracy? It's the idea that a secretive, powerful elite is working to create a single, global authoritarian government. This elite is said to include influential figures from politics, finance, and industry, all aiming to control the world's population. Believers point to several pieces of supposed evidence: secretive meetings like the Bilderberg Group, symbols hidden in popular culture, and global organizations like the United Nations. They argue that these are tools for implementing policies that erode national sovereignty and personal freedoms. The ultimate goal? To establish a unified world government with total control over every aspect of life. Critics say it's just a modern twist on older conspiracies like the Illuminati, often lacking concrete evidence. Whether you see it as a warning against unchecked power or dismiss it as paranoia, the New World Order conspiracy theory continues to captivate and provoke debate. Thanks for diving into the New World Order conspiracy with us.
Yeah. There's definitely a new world order coming about, and the World Economic Forum is the one that's leading the way. With the Social Security hack this year and last year's G20 summit, they're like, hey, we should probably look into going digital, full digital currency, because everything can be tracked and we can all be watched by those super rich people so they can find out how to make themselves more rich. That's what the new world order is.
Report is now in that Earth is temporarily obtaining another moon on September 29th. So suddenly we're just going to have 2 moons? Yo, what if it's not a moon and it's like an alien sphere spacecraft and they're just saying it's a moon? Like, what if, y'all? And then on top of that, they're saying that the little moon is going to orbit Earth for 2 months. 2 months? So just imagine if the aliens are going to be watching us, observing us closely for 2 months, y'all. Yo, P. Diddy, now this? Yo, man, 2024 is crazy.
What absolutely blows my mind is that scientists know that once it gets here, it's going to orbit the Earth for 2 months. How do they know that? It's almost as if it might be some kind of alien craft and they're just going to be doing an observation for 2 months and there's an agreement there somewhere. Or maybe it's just a rock.
Center Delta 9230.
Delta 1692, Alpha Cherokee, safe speed.
79.
Delta 1692, can you maintain Mach 81 for space?
And we can do 81, 1692.
Delta 1692, thanks. Maintain Mach 81 or greater for space.
1692.
American 33, turn 45 degrees right for space.
45 degrees right, American 33. Albuquerque, Falcon 204, Charlie Whiskey 390.
November 4, Charlie Whiskey, Albuquerque, Center, roger.
That certainly was an interestingly shaped condensation trail.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering initiatives.
Now, it absolutely blows my mind that this is even a consideration. Like, we want to put stuff up in the atmosphere to reflect the sun's rays back and make rain in places where the world doesn't want it to rain. The world is its own little contained thing. It heals itself. It rains where it's supposed to. It doesn't rain where it's supposed to because that's what the world wants. We can't control that. And we shouldn't control. We actually can control that, but we shouldn't be controlling that. We shouldn't be putting people in cities, in places where it doesn't rain and then getting all pissed off because they don't have water. Hello, don't put your city there. We shouldn't be tinkering with the sky. Don't tinker with the sky.
Have you ever heard of the underground military base called Raven Rock? Because I just learned about it, and now you need to learn about it too. The Raven Rock Mountain Complex, also known as Site R, is located in Pennsylvania. And they started building it at the beginning of the Cold War as a sort of fallout shelter if there were a nuclear attack. And this place is wild. There are up to 3-story buildings underground in here. They have a fire department, a police department, a hospital, a cafeteria that serves 4 meals a day. And it is still staffed staffed 24/7. This place is big enough for the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force to all have headquarters there. And it's believed that about 5,000 people could live there. Now, construction sort of halted in the 1990s, but since 2001, for a reason I bet you can guess, there has been a massive expansion. Everything about this place gives me the absolute creep. And if you haven't seen the show on Apple TV, Silo, like, it's giving all of that. But it's just wild to know that this place really exists, and I'm sure it's not the only one. I wonder what it must be like to be one of the people who lives.
Just a little more information about Raven Rock. The way she talked about it made it seem way bigger than I was initially imagining with that first clip. But it's staffed 24 hours a day? That's interesting.
So a biologist said that the sun may be conscious? Are you kidding me? Are you trying to tell me that the sun is alive? That the sun has thoughts and is, like, aware of its surroundings? Well, honestly, I don't think this is true, but I wouldn't be surprised if the sun is conscious, and the sun thinks of itself as like some sort of god. After all, we've seen the sun alive in different properties before. Like in Teletubbies, he was a little kid. And then the sun grew up and became a menace in Rick and Morty. So this then begs me to ask a question. Does this mean that the moon is alive as well? And that the sun and the moon are in cahoots together and they're planning our downfall for one day? Nah, I'm playing. But if they were both alive, that would mean like an eclipse is them giving each other a kiss, right? What do you guys think about this? Do you think our sun is conscious? Let me know in the comments.
Those were some silly examples. I don't believe that the sun is conscious, but I do believe that it is in control. Because like I've said before, it could take us out at any moment for no reason at all.
Check this out, family. Check it out. Got the plasma beam. Look at it. Look at that. He runs inside. But that shit, look at it. Now they are playing. So I'm gonna slow it down for y'all. Check it out. Look at them boys playing. Look at that. So these are the beams that are going to crash down the grid. The old electric grid of the earth. The plasma beams are here. Look at them. These are the light bodies. The sun beings. Let's get it.
As much as I want to be all like, yes, those are plasma beings and they're coming to take over the world and they're going to take down our grid. That looked like lightning hit some power lines and it was traveling along those power lines, and that's a pretty dangerous situation.
Did Tesla create a healing
machine? Yes.
It did. And it's not allowed to be used right now, or
the technology is findable. The technology is doable. It has to do with frequency, vibration, understanding what the vibration of different diseases are, and knowing how to apply certain frequencies to them that cancel that vibration of the disease out. Mm-hmm. So it's doable. In a sense, even though some of Tesla's papers may have been taken by certain individuals who didn't necessarily prefer that the general public understand some of the things that he did, that technology is not necessarily that sophisticated.
Did he have any help from the...
You all have help. You all have guidance. But understand, he was an extremely tapped in and talented individual who had extra dimensional abilities. Do you understand how he utilized what you typically call hallucinations?
Oh, no, I'm not aware of that.
As a child, he experienced hallucinations so real he could not necessarily tell what was physically real and what was in his mind. He actually, over time, learned to control that ability to the point where he could actually construct in front of his eyes, as if it were physical, the devices, see them operating, If they didn't seem to operate properly, he could literally act as if he was taking them apart physically, look at where the problems were in the hallucination, repair them in his mind, put them back together, and then all he had to do when he built the device was copy the hallucination, and that's why his devices worked perfectly the first time when he built them.
Tesla certainly was a man ahead of his time. He was absolutely brilliant and incredibly mad. He had this wonderful way of mixing his spirituality and science and turning it into something gold. Speaking of spirituality and science, it's time for this week's Shameless Plug. Now, normally I spotlight a small YouTuber, but I was sent over to this podcast called Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. And it's kind of like Coast to Coast. If you ever listen to Coast on the radio, super fantastic. He talks about UFOs, UAPs, science and spirituality, along with some ghostly encounters. He talks about all kinds of crazy stuff, and I listened to a couple of episodes, and it's fantastic, and I think you might like it. So head on over and maybe give him a little bit of your time. You might find something that you like. One more time, that is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. It's an absolutely wonderful podcast. Thanks so much for sticking around for this week's Shameless Plug.
Necro-eel, a term that might sound like the stuff of nightmares, yet these gigantic creatures are becoming a stark reality in the Bay of Bengal. Recent sightings have sparked intense interest and concern among marine biologists and SCP experts. Believed to be a derivative of the infamous SCP-3000, the necro-eels possess similar terrifying characteristics. These aquatic entities have been observed displaying rapid snake-like movements and a haunting ability to disappear into the murky depths as quickly as they appear. Local fishermen report an increase in these sightings during the new moon. The necro-eels represent a potentially significant threat to marine life and human safety in the region. For now, caution is advised for anyone navigating these waters. We expect to receive more information.
I don't know how real this thing is, but that's a good reason not to go in the ocean. I don't go in the ocean because everything in the ocean wants to eat you.
It's the strange scene of American nationalist President Donald J. Trump seated with the aging globalist cabal of past presidents and politicians. It was awkward. But there was something else odd going on. It was noticed that several of the globalist political players received an unexpected letter inside of their program. Hillary Clinton was the only one who kept her poker face when looking at the mysterious letter. Former Vice President Joe Biden appeared to be distressed when his wife found his. Laura Bush had a look of anger and could barely keep from staring at hers. And when she showed it to Jeb Bush, as his deceased father was being carried in front of him, he was distressed enough to take his hand from his heart, and he looked rather troubled by what he saw. The internet is abuzz with what these mystery letters are all about. Many who hope to see justice served in our corrupt American system speculate that this could be a foreboding message to America's traitorous first families. One can only hope. Whatever they were, they certainly appear to be disturbing to those who received them.
Huh. That certainly was peculiar, wasn't it? Why isn't there any footage of any of them opening the envelopes?
Numerology backs the family unit. 1 is male energy, 2 is female energy, 1 plus 2 equals 3, which is childlike energy. Child starts with C, C is the third letter, and now we do it all together. Man plus woman plus 2 plus child equals 6. 6 is the number home and family. Family starts with F. F is the 6th letter. That's how powerful these numbers are.
Numerology is absolutely mind-boggling to me. I think it's a little bit ridiculous, but it's probably because I don't know enough about it. I'm sure there's some magic in there somewhere. He goes on to say that love, the second letter is O. Why did we pick the second letter? I don't know, but the second letter is O, just like the second letter in house is O, and that's the 15th number. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 is the magic number, but I've also heard that 4 is the magic number because 6 has 3 letters in it, 3 has 5 letters in it, 5 has 4 letters in it, 4 has 4 letters in it. 4 is the magic number. On that note, I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please, come on back tomorrow. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.